Welcome to Drop Site News. I'm Ryan Grimm. I'm here with my colleague Murtaza Hussein. This morning, we're going to be talking about what is either the greatest bluff in the history of international diplomacy or is one of the greatest feats of espionage, at least since, say, the Bolsheviks got a hold of all of the Tsar's documents after the 1917 October Revolution when they were ransacking the palace. Or it's somewhere in between. So to give people a little context, yesterday, and bear with us as we learn how to pilot these tools here, but I'm going to share a thread that was put up by Mohammad Gaderi. Murtaza, tell me who Gaderi is.
Hey, Ryan. So Gaderi is effectively a media advisor to the Iran's Supreme National Security Council, especially this guy, Ali Shamkhani. So he yesterday did a very interesting thread on Twitter or X, and he discussed
here.
There it is, yeah. He discussed what he said was he described as a tremendous intelligence coup by the Iranians, gaining access to a profoundly diverse cache of information from either a hack or some sort of intelligence penetration of Israel. And, as you see there, he's saying that we found information about bribes that were given in America, in the region, information on Israel's intelligence, espionage complex in the region, access to people's private accounts, even videos of maybe people in the Knesset who were opposed to Netanyahu that he's blackmailing. And, from last but not least,
here's one.
Information.
It says personal information on Netanyahu and his wife, including medical documents, testimonies of judges and doctors, bribery cases, and threats of complainants to withdraw complaints. I think the grammar there is a little confusing. I think what they mean is Netanyahu and his cohort threatening people who have filed complaints against him to pressure them to withdraw complaints, which wouldn't be terribly surprising. Would be surprising if they had it, but wouldn't be surprising behavior.
Right, and these things about the sexual blackmail and exploitation,
organ trafficking networks. This is where it gets a little wield.
You really did the entire. It's like I couldn't think of anything else which is left out of this list of things you wouldn't want to be leaked here. And then more.
Here's the one that people have been has captured people's imagination. Private information of Netanyahu's opposition leaders in the Knesset, including hidden cameras in their bathrooms, bedrooms, and inside their homes, and information from hacking their mobile phones and personal computers, which were used in Bibi's office to blackmail his opponents. And then also several thousand copies of high-quality aerial images of all the regime's cities, infrastructure, ports, and important places, 40,000 hours of CCTV footage. And so it raises the question of that I saw you asking earlier, what database on earth has all of these various and unrelated things? Like, what database has both hidden camera footage from, Netanyahu's adversaries' bathrooms and also secrets about nuclear sites?
Yeah, exactly. So it could be that they're engaging in a bit of psychological warfare regarding information they say they have. And look, the Iranians are aware that there's profound political divisions inside Israel at the moment. Netanyahu's not the most popular, but he's a polarizing figure among different sectors of society and the political system. So it's interesting to claim you may have these things which may or may not exist in general, in their view, maybe to foment or to increase the level of polarization inside Israel. But I do think that Gaderi would not be talking about a hack at this high level unless they had something. I think he's been emphasizing, not just him, but many senior figures inside Iran for numerous days now have been talking about this tremendous intelligence coup that they have achieved somehow with Israel. So I think that if you focus a bit more closely on what he's talking about and what may more likely be the case here, there is this issue of Iran's standoff with the IAEA, which is International Atomic Energy Association. They have a dispute over Iran's past nuclear activities. The allegation that in the past Iran may have had an attempt to weaponize their nuclear program that has not been accounted for. So this is a significant crisis which is going on in their relationship with the IAEA. And now they say that they have this hack, which, most importantly, and pertinent to the situation, reveals what they say is information about Israel's covert nuclear program. Now, Israel does have a nuclear weapons program. They never formally acknowledged it. They didn't obtain it in any, you could say, legal way. They got it through, skullduggery and espionage and so forth, and they built one. So in that, for Iranians, they view it as very hypocritical. Why are we being raked over the coals about our nuclear program, which is under the NPT, whereas the Israelis have a full nuclear weapons, and no one's really scrutinizing them. So someone asked the head of the IAEA about this hack, what he thought about it, and he speculated, and I think this probably informed speculation, that he thinks that the Iranians may have received information about Israel's Soreq nuclear site. So this nuclear site, which ostensibly has some relation to the nuclear program, they may have received some documentation about it. They've been trying very, very hard to get intelligence penetration inside Israel, since the current war and before that. And, it could be that they have some documentation about that, and they're trying to amp it up a little bit. And, I would say if you listen to Iranian government rhetoric, they're not really shy about hyperbole or maybe exaggeration a little bit. So it would be within their style to speak about it in a way which maybe exaggerates the full scope of it, but that does not mean that there's nothing there. And I do think that them having information about Israeli nuclear sites, and maybe you could say there's something beyond that as well too, but even that one discrete point would be a significant achievement on their part, because in the last week they've specifically threatened that they will attack Israeli nuclear sites if their nuclear sites are hit. And we saw in their previous ballistic missile attacks that Israeli ballistic missile defenses, while they're useful to start getting one or two missiles at a time, the American and Israeli batteries that are there, they're pretty much useless against hundreds of missiles all at once. It overwhelms the layered air defenses such that they can't be defended against. If they were to target 40 ballistic missiles at once at a nuclear site, nuclear sites can be hit. And if, as they're saying, they're going to put larger warheads on these missiles, it could cause a significant ecological and energy and multiple overlapping disasters inside Israel. Were that to happen, they're trying to deter Israel and the United States from hitting their nuclear sites at the moment, and this is a card they play as leverage, saying that we have the ability and the knowledge now to do the same thing to you that you are trying to do to us.
So it could be that they did get a little bit of an intelligence coup in getting some information on Israeli nuclear sites, and then they're camouflaging that and layering it over with extraordinary amounts of exaggeration and hyperbole about all kinds of other, lurid things that they claim to have obtained. Your potential theory, I think, checks out with the morning papers out of Iran. Let me put some of those up. So this is a snapshot of a bunch of the front page papers in Iran this morning. Can you tell us, what we're seeing here? What does this describe?
Saying Asnad Sari Hastai Nizami wa Amniyati Israel Dar Masht Iran is saying that they have secret nuclear documents and military security documents in the possession of Iran, in their possession. So they're saying that these documents show these documents show that the Atomic Energy Agency, which is something they've been complaining about, is basically influenced and under control of Israel, and the IAEA is acting as effectively an intelligence arm of Israel. One thing they've accused in the context of this purported leak is that they claim that the IAEA has somehow provided the names of nuclear scientists, Iranian nuclear scientists, Israel, several of whom were assassinated some years ago. So this is an ongoing, very, very deep grievance they have. So these documents, in their headlines, and not all the papers reported on this so prominently, but the major hardline papers did, they haven't emphasized the sexual blackmail and the other things that Ghaderi talked about in his tweet thread. They focus more on the nuclear aspect, the IAEA standoff, and what they say that this intelligence coup reveals about that. So that suggests to me that that's probably the crux of the revelation. And I will say there's a full caveat that we could be surprised and we see Netanyahu sex tapes coming out in the next 48 hours. But it seems less likely to me and more
not
likely
holding my breath for that.
Yeah,
not eagerly awaiting it either.
We hope that the X and Twitter censorship measures are working well that day. But yeah,
by the way, are these Waymo cars in Los Angeles that are making the front page in Iran?
well, so it's funny. I read a lot of Iranian and Russian, news sources because they have a lot of interesting military information and just, they cover things from a different perspective. They're really thrilled about these protests because they view it as, yeah, we told all along people hate the regime in America. The regime's collapsing. Everything that happens, is kind of amped up. And I wonder how maybe we overinterpret things happening there sometimes too. Not that this disturbances and protests in LA are not significant, just that I don't think anyone thinks that the
regime is
regime's
not
going to collapse
right.
here. That's not what it means. It's something totally different. So, but that's their interpretation. So both the Russian and the Iranian, news outlets and Telegram channels are just. I get more information about the LA protests there than American media in a way because. They're very excited about it. So yeah, that was on the front page, the Waymos and so forth, the proof that the American people are ready to revolution number 2
rise up. Exactly. There was one other news, the first, it seems like, news article that referenced these documents was in Tasnim, putting this up here, about Kurdish penetration by Israeli forces, I believe. Like, tell us, like, what's this news outlet? What are they claiming to have pulled out of this cache of obtained documents?
Yeah, so this is a pretty hardline, pro-regime, for the most part, news outlet inside Iran.
Like, they're not putting anything out that isn't in line,
right?
Unless they do so accidentally.
Yeah, it'd be unlikely. It'd be unlikely. Yeah. So they say that this cache of documents reveals coordination between a Kurdish movement inside Iran, Komala, which has been at odds with the government for some time, with Israel and with Mossad. And they say that the documents show specific meetings that took place. They published a photo that you saw there of some Komala officials said to be on a trip to Israel. And they say that the documents show that they collaborated and coordinated on planning attacks inside Iran. They took money, things like that, acting as mercenaries of Israeli intelligence inside Iran. And that's what they say that the documents hint at. But they didn't say that they saw the documents yet, and I don't think anyone has said that they saw them. But it's interesting that they did. This is the most direct reference to date, at the moment at least, that I've seen of anyone actually saying what's in the documents beyond the IAEA stuff. So again, it's not necessarily false. It could be true. It's just that we still don't know how they obtained the documents, where the documents are. We would like to see the documents.
If they obtained them, right.
If they obtained them. So, again, it's interesting. And whatever they've revealed from it so far fits into one of these two narratives. Focus mainly on the nuclear aspect, but they've also mentioned this Kurdish aspect in friendly regime publications there.
Right. And so far, the stories are convenient for the Iranian government. Like, hey, we're in an adversarial relationship with the IAEA. Oh, guess what? We have documents proving that they are actually stooges of Israel. We're in an adversarial relationship with the Kurds, this Kurdish group. Turns out we can prove that the Kurdish group is, funded and penetrated by Israel. All those things may be true. They completely line up with how the Iranian government would like the public to understand those conflicts.
Right, and the IAEA one is so, it's like the timing is almost like...
Couldn't be better.
Theatrical, yeah, because they're on the verge of the biggest crisis of the IAEA right this moment. There's a huge dispute with them, and that
while they're preparing to meet with the U.S. about their...
Yeah, and it could be that they may have had some of these documents a long time ago, and they waited to reveal the existence of them until the crisis with the IAEA, which had been foreseen to some degree, reached a breaking point as it is this week. So that's also possible that they had some information about this before and they're just choosing to talk about it now. But that still doesn't really comport with the way that Qadari talked about the archive. It would be something a little less salacious, but no less important potentially, especially if they were to release it to the public.
Right. All right. Well, thank you, and thanks everybody for watching this. This is a bit of an experiment. If you appreciate us doing these kind of shorter videos where we're kind of trying to contextualize news that's circulating around the world, let us know, I guess, by going over to dropsitenews.com and becoming a supporter. And you can put a note in. I became a supporter because Maz and Ryan did this video that I liked, and that'll incentivize us to get out here more. Share this with anybody you think might be interested. Again, we're trying to take this cautiously because we don't know what the documents say, whether the documents even exist, but we do know for a fact that that the Iranian regime is making these audacious claims at a critical moment in negotiations, not just with the United States, but also with the IAEA, and at a moment when Israel is threatening on a daily basis to bomb their nuclear sites. So what is underneath it is interesting, but what is on the surface already is newsworthy.
Yeah, the claim itself is very newsworthy. So let's see what happens. And I think the next 72 hours will get a lot more clarity about the extent, the scope about these leak, which may have happened.
All right. Always good to see you, Maz. Talk to you
Yeah,
soon.
likewise, Ryan.